Hello and welcome to another edition of Gamma Box. I'm joined today by another JC and Jamie Cole, and we'll be taking you through all of the Teams' latest and greatest new features for March. Kicking us off, a new search results page experience for Microsoft Search within Teams. This will make finding messages, people, answers, and files faster and more intuitive, and a new All page will show top results for each domain, bookmark, and acronym. This new experience will provide better answers, declutter search result snippets, preview message results for more context, more discoverable filters, and previews for files with better relevance based on the people and content you engage with most in Teams and other Microsoft 365 services.
So next up, we've got Customer Lockbox, which is coming to Microsoft Teams. So Lockbox is already available in a number of other products like Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and OneDrive for Business. This ensures Microsoft cannot access any content to perform a service operation without your explicit approval. So a bit more security for you.
Next, for those who create webinars in Teams, as webinars are set up, invites are sent to attendees to register. When attendees register, the webinar invite is automatically sent and added to the attendee's calendar, making it easier to plan ahead and make sure that you remember any upcoming events that are taking place.
So the next update is that we now have Day View in Calendar on iOS app and Android apps. So you can now view all hours of the day, so you can see when you're available, when you have a meeting, and when you've got clashes easily too, right from the iOS or Android client.
Now for your meeting recordings, newly created Teams meeting recordings in OneDrive and SharePoint will be deleted automatically by the service based on the default Teams policy settings. Teams admins will be able to modify the default meeting recording expiration time via the settings in the Teams Admin Center or by modifying policy attributes using PowerShell scripts. Newly created meeting recordings in OneDrive and SharePoint will automatically be deleted after this point unless the meeting owner extends the expiration. Don't worry if you forget, meeting owners will be notified about the expired recordings and may extend the expiration date in OneDrive and SharePoint. And just as another note, your compliance policies will override these expiration settings.
So we've also got updated bandwidth control for roaming. So admins can now set dynamic bandwidth policies based on the location of a user's Teams client. So if a user is in a area with poor bandwidth and are trying to do a video call, then admins can now restrict that. And once they move into a location where the bandwidth is better, then the video calls will return and limitations are relaxed. So a little bit more control to protect the reliability of the connection.
Next up, a bugbear for many, as I would imagine over the past couple of years, VoIP calls on Teams will now have music on hold and in consult then transfer scenarios. This will give callers the confidence that when they are put on hold, they are still connected to the call. This feature has been available on the PSTN side for a while now, so it's good to see this finally covering the VoIP calls too. Music on hold is enabled by default, and the music that is played for the caller on hold is either the default music provided by Microsoft or custom music that administrators can upload and configure.
So next up is casting from the Teams desktop client to a Microsoft Teams room. You can now use Teams casting to wirelessly connect to Teams rooms and display content from your Teams desktop client. You can also broadcast your screen and cast content stored locally on your device or anything accessible via Office 365.
For mobile app users, when searching in the Teams mobile app, you will now have a new header, get suggestions as you type, i.e. the top results show up as soon as you start typing and will be modified as your typing progresses. Meetings will also appear in the search results as well. And you'll also be able to scroll to past and future dates in the calendar using the date picker.
So the next one is for IT admins, and it's now easier for admins to find what they're looking for in the Teams Admin Center. So you can search for a variety of different things. So for example, a user call or a team or an app by its name. You can also search the left navigation bar, meaning that this will make things much easier to find within the Teams Admin Center and to be navigated to the corresponding page. This is just phase one. Phase two will be released in the coming months. That will introduce search for entities as documentation, policy, diagnostics, and access to search history too.
Finally, from me, a nice short one on Teams reporting. Administrators can now export Teams and users lists as a CSV file from the Teams admin center.
And finally, from me, you can now see the list of joined teams per user in the Teams admin center. So admins can view the list of teams that a user has joined via the user detail page in the Teams admin center. Previously, in order to find out whether a user is part of a team or not, admins had to go into the individual teams and search for a user. Using this feature, admins can view the list of teams that a user is part of from a single place and then take actions like removing from a team. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us on GammaBox, and we'll see you again soon.